Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Thank you for joining me today. Today is the day, or one of the days, that I take your questions from my community page and I ask my special, they are really special, political spirit guides to answer your questions. Now, before I get started, I do want to say psychic predictions, especially timing, is a little bit difficult. Honestly, they're telling me fraught with danger. Now, why am I doing this if y'all are telling me it's fraught with danger? Maybe it's the timing part that they're talking about. It's funny. Anyway, I am channeling this. It's about 60% of my consciousness is my spirit guides. 40% is Susan. This mashup that's happening up there means that they show me pictures. I hear words. I know psychic cognizance, claircognizance. I know things. I know what they're saying. All of that swirls around and somehow forms words that come out of my mouth. Now, sometimes they use words like schlaffly or shaffly that they did last time that I couldn't figure out was a word. And two of you viewers figured out that it was a British word. It really is a word. I didn't think it was, but it is. So sometimes you'll see that. That's just me trying to make sense of what they're communicating to me. Now, the other thing I want to say is that these things are probabilities. There's very precious little in our world that is set in stone. Now, I know you know that. I'm sure you know that. We all have free will, which changes the probabilities all the time. So some things that I've gotten wrong have been DeJoy. DeJoy is still in office. I don't know why. He was supposed to go. I saw him going. I was very sure of the energy. The energy seemed very, very strong. He didn't go. He has free will. He arranged a different probability or different timeline based on that small amount of probability that he had to work with. He worked with it. Maybe he called in some favors. Maybe he had some things on some people, if you know what I mean. Same thing with McConnell. He does not, I've said this a million times, as a psychic, just to give you an example, a metaphor. If, energetically speaking, you're standing on a golf course and you're holding a golf club that might be made of metal, and there's no trees for a long ways around you, and a storm comes up and it starts lightning, most of us, probably 90% of us, or 95 or 90, even 99, would hit the deck and crawl away to safety. We would take cover. We would react to the energy. Now, that's what I'm doing. I'm seeing energy around people, and I'm saying this energy is going to make them react in a certain way. Now, McConnell thinks he's Benjamin Franklin. He just raises his golf club up in the air and cusses Mother Nature. Hit me. Go ahead. Take your best shot. So he isn't going to react to the energy. They're showing me Clarence Thomas is another one. He's not going to react to the energy like someone else would. Have we not seen this with the Republican Party, where in the past 5 years, 10 years ago, people would just step down? I mean, it would be egg on your face. You would be disrespected. You would look foolish, and therefore you would step down. The Republicans don't step down anymore. They're like, we don't care. We don't care if you have me on film lying to you, talking about you, McConnell. And you even tell us if this happens, then I've lied to you. We have all this on film. The man still hasn't stepped down. So they're defying the energy around them. That's why it's hard to predict some of these people. Now, the guides have been right a lot. I feel like they've been right at least 80%. I don't come on here and tout my, wins or whenever the guides are right. I don't do that. Watch my videos, come to your own conclusion. So going forward, from this little word on, I'm just reading the probabilities. We are going into a time of the guides are calling it historic. Now, I asked them 3 times if they really meant this, and I showed them. I showed them the 1960s, and I showed them the Civil War, and I showed them all these big, huge historic times in the United States history. And I said, are you sure you want to use the word historic? They said yes 3 times. We are entering a historic maelstrom, is the word they want to use, of energy and activity, where people are going to be acting not in their best interest. We've already seen that. Look at Trump and everybody that keeps supporting him. They keep losing elections, and pretty soon they're going to be more than likely in a prison, but they keep acting against their own best interest, which is basically the Republican Party theme song, is it not? But anyway, we're going to go into this period where it's going to be hard to predict. I can tell you the overall energetic outcome, I honestly can't tell you how we get there, because I just see all these seats coming open in the House, but it's not through all the same way. It's this person steps down, this person gets charged, this person gets run out. It's all different. Each person has their own ticket out of Dodge. That's why the guides are saying it's unprecedented, because you have this Republican Party that is at war, not only really at war with itself, but there's multiple factions within the Republican Party, and specifically within the House of Representatives, that are not coalescing around any one person. And instead, it's almost like sharks sensing blood in the water. They sense that this person is weak, doesn't have the full support, and therefore, instead of having one challenger, now you've got 5 challengers. And maybe those 5 challengers equal 5 different factions. So that is a mess. That is just a mess. There's no coalescing around anything. And it can't survive. That kind of party structure cannot survive. And the guides have always said that Liz Cheney was going to step outside of the Republican Party, and she has, and that she was going to lose, and she did. And they've always said that she was going to take over the Republican Party. That is her goal. And they've always said if she can't take it over, she will literally start another party. But obviously, you want the party. That would be the goal. You don't want to start your own party. That's near on possible, although she's a Cheney girl, so who knows, right? So this infighting and attacking of each other actually benefits her. And you could say that she's positioned herself in the cat seat on the January 6th committee to sort of even egg them on and to position some of them, to pit them against each other. She's not done yet. She's got evidence that she's got cards she hasn't played yet. So anyway, all that to say that this is how this is going to go down. It's not going to be easy. It's just not going to be easy. Now, having said that, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to give you what the guides say the most probable situation is, and then we'll be updated, right? And that's why I say to call 1-800-SPIRIT Guides, press 1 for complaints, because it's not me. Believe me when I say, this is not me. This is nothing like me or my personality. Nothing. Okay, so let's get started. Julie says there was an interview with Adam Schiff, and Adam Schiff says the Republicans are planning to not let Dems like Schiff, Swalwell, etc. I think there's one other person continue on their very important committees once they meet in January. Can anything be done about this to let truth and justice continue and not be stopped? So again, Julie, here's the thing. Yes, maybe the one thing that Republicans can coalesce around is their hatred of Democrats. So Right. Well, okay. So I also would tell you, I don't know anything about the structure of the House of Representatives. In other words, I don't know how they go about voting for a speaker or a leader, or I don't know those rules. But the guides are telling me right now, the energy suggests the Democrats are very crafty, aren't they? They're very crafty. So the Democrats, I love the new Democrats. This is new for us. We've never been like this in my lifetime. I've never seen the Democrats be so conniving. So it turns out the Democrats are working with some of the Republican power centers, quote unquote, that they would like to see be more in power. In other words, the opposite of the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, those types of people. And they're trying to create, so if the Democrats throw their weight behind some of these other Republicans, they may be able to get a different leader in. It's not over yet. They're telling me, the guides are saying this isn't over yet. And they're also saying that, right, if Schiff and Swalwell lose their very important roles in Congress, it just means that we live to fight another day. It doesn't, none of this is the message they really want you to hear. This is not the end of the story, you guys. It's just not. Try and have faith. They want to say, look back on your own personal life and think about a time where you overcame something or you got out of something, and you look back and you think, wow, I don't know how I did that. Or, wow, I can't believe that good thing happened to me. Okay, this is what's happening here. There's going to be these turns of events that are going to be, what they're telling me, unprecedented, surprising events that are going to reshuffle the power center within the House. So once we reshuffle the power center in the House, we may not have a majority over one seat, or we may not have a really big majority, but I sense that there's deals being made of kind of quasi-equal power sharing within the House. And I feel like if the Democrats get a majority, that we're going to, now this is more like the Democrats, we're going to still act like we don't have one, in the idea of I'm aligning myself with these Republicans and together we're going against the Marjorie Taylor Greenes. Okay. And I honestly think, not me, because I'm not, Susan is not for this. I am all, I'm all, put them all in jail, get them out, burn them down, throw them out. I'm actually send them to Russia. They can't even live in the United States. I'm telling you, this is not me talking. So, but the guides are saying it would send a good message to the American people at a time of huge distrust in our politics and our politicians and our rule of law. It would send a big message to Americans in general if we had some sort of more blended leadership, so that we weren't R and D and we were more blended. So that is kind of what they're showing me is going to shake out of this. So what we would say, Julie, is that it's going to be okay. It may not be the okay that I want, or maybe even that you want, but it's going to be a much better outcome for the country. So it seems like the R's are going to have to sacrifice and the D's are going to have to sacrifice. And I really feel like for some reason, oh my God, I'm always the last person to get this, because I'm channeling, and Susan's 40%ers over here going, oh yeah, that's what they meant. I mean, I shouldn't, but I feel stupid because they've been saying this. You guys, in every video, have they not been saying, in every video, you're in a rowboat and you're rowing on one side and you're rowing in circles. You're not getting anywhere. So if we're in control of everything, we're rolling in circles. If we have the R's and the D's, each have an oar, we're rowing straight ahead. So what are they saying here, folks? They're saying that this Congress, the best outcome is that we give a little and Republicans give a little. Now, in the past, the Republicans haven't given anything. They've literally taken from us and lied to us and lied to the American people, and they've been horrible scumbags. True. Very true. The guides are not arguing that at all. But they're telling me, and you, a lot of these scumbags are going to be moved out of Congress. Do you see the picture that I'm seeing? I hope I'm explaining it correctly. The Dems are going to side with some Republicans, some who are very moderate, and some that aren't quite as moderate, but don't want to be controlled by this subset of crazy people, because they're not going to win in 26. What year is this? 24. They're not going to win in 24. They're not. They see the writing on the wall. They're not dummies. So they're going to coalesce around the Dems, and they're going to push out these extremists. Okay. And then people like Adam Schiff and Swalwell are going to come back into a position of power. Okay. That was a really long way to explain all that. But listen, to me, it's a pattern. The guides keep telling us the same thing. And I just wanted to point it out because y'all probably already got it. But I'm, again, sometimes the last person on the bus. Woo! All right. Jose R says, you're welcome, Jose. I appreciate it. Would like to know if Senators Manchin and Sinema will continue to be holdouts for the Dems and keep blocking important legislation as they have been doing. Will we see any changes from them? So again, the first answer is no. We're not going to see any changes from them. Okay. I mean, overtly, big picture, no. However, smaller picture, so meaning that maybe 30 to 40, 50% of the time they're going to do this. Less than the majority, but still something. They're buffeted by the same power plays that everybody else is. Because if the Dems can find, look, Warnock gets elected, and the Dems can find some nice people, some reasonable people in the House and some reasonable people in the Senate, then you're gonna start seeing Manchin and Sinema start playing along with the Dems. This is the point. They're gonna play along a little more, not as much as we want, but yes, a little more. A little more. Yeah. Better than nothing, but not what we want. There is a lot of pressure on them. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of pressure on them. So, and I think that's a good thing. That's democracy in action, if you ask me. Freda Stinger said she lives in Ohio. Oh, she's talking about public schools and how they're basically Republicans. This is happening in a lot of places. It's certainly happening in Texas. Republicans are changing what can be taught in public schools. Very, very similar to what Youngkin is doing in Virginia. Will they succeed? In Ohio, the answer is yes. I'm sorry to say that. That's just what I'm getting is yes, they will succeed. It makes my head blow off my shoulders, but that's what I'm saying. Again, America does not want this. You guys have to understand this. Americans do not want this. The Republicans that are in office got in office because people don't vote in the primaries. Go look this up. Go Google it. Just Google it. Republicans win primaries do not represent America. There's a lot of articles that have been written about this. So these extremists become the elected Republican for the race, for the primary race. And then people like little sheeps just go and push R. And they don't even care. They're just voting for R's because that's who they vote for. They don't do the research. And now, 2 years ago until 2 years in the future, they're starting to see exactly what that gets them. Threats to Social Security, threats to freedom of choice, book burning, book banning, attacks on maybe their gay daughter or son or trans daughter or son, attacks on their mixed race grandchildren, attacks on themselves if they're people of color. The list goes on. It takes them a while to wake up, but they're waking up. They're waking up. Okay. So yes, they are going to do that. But that point is that that's going to change. I don't see that. I don't see that keeping. I don't see that staying the same for Ohio. I think that will change. They may get it in, but it will change. This is the energy of everything. The House, whatever it is, if they keep control of the House, which I don't think they will, but it will happen. If they lose control, it'll be happening over this bizarre toss up with all the seats, which I can't figure out. It's like some people step down, some people get indicted, some people get pressured out. I don't understand it. Now, even if they do, they might vote in more Republicans, but there's this scramble energy. Okay. But in the end, we work it out. We're balancing the scales. Remember what the guide said last time with their size 14 shoes, kind of more balancing the scales. That will continue. So even though I said, yes, they will succeed in Ohio, it's going to change. The other question is, will Ohio ever return to a Democratic state? Same answer. Yes, I agree with you. I don't think that Vance won legitimately. The spirit guides say he did not win legitimately. He is very entrenched. When I look at his energy, he has roots that go down into the system. He seems to have very connected roots that go into this subterranean ground, which makes me think that, dark money or things hidden. He's got support. It's like a talons. They're in the bedrock. It's going to be hard to get him out. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be hard to get him out, but it's actually going to be harder to get him out than some of these other people. He's very sly. His energy is very tricky, very sly, like a snake. Try to catch a snake; it just slithers out of your hands, right? That's his energy. So unfortunately, you might be stuck with him for a minute. But if he stays in office to the next election, he's not going to win, because again, the pervasive energy across the United States is one of waking up, one of seeing clearly. Oh, expletive. What's going on? These people are voting against me. You're going to see this more and more as we get into next year. This pervasive waking up of, you don't have my best interest either. I don't like the Dems. I don't like the Republicans. I'm out. Okay, so that's kind of the energy. I do see Ohio kind of getting it back together. In spots, you may get races in some spots that go blue. It's a process, guys. I wish I could say that I could wave a magic wand and everything turned blue or even purple, but it's a process. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. Lynn D says, will the Republicans shut down the government and cut Social Security and Medicare in return for raising the debt ceiling in 2023? No, because again, this thing that they said in the very beginning of the video, where I really think the House is going to be this kind of patchwork. They're showing me a quilt where you've got R's and you got reds and blues all kind of patched together, which is a very interesting visual, is it not? There's not a line where the red's over here and the blues over here. It's a patch. It's a quilt where there's reds and blues kind of a little bit more, not equally distributed for sure, but more mixed. So I don't think they're going to have that power. I just don't think they're going to have that. I think we have to row this boat together. And finally, they figured that out. And I think a little bit more sane energy will rise to the surface, maybe not until midsummer or late summer of next year. So you can expect a couple of months of shock and awe of people, like, again, I got to read this thing, Caligula. Why do they keep talking about Caligula? Anyway, like Caesar or like these, Shakespearean tales of betrayal. This is what we're going to see amongst the Republicans next year. For the first 6 months of next year, you're going to see backstabbing. You're going to see quadruple, 4 times, whose side are they on? They're against this side. They're for this side. They're against this side. You're going to see it's going to be, the guides have said, unprecedented. So I'm going to let it sit with that. Your other question is, will Schumer and Nancy be able to get the debt ceiling raised before the end of this year? The energy suggests yes. Not 100%, but the energy suggests pretty strongly yes. Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Jackie Ogle says, will Biden's approval ratings continue to go up with all of the laws implemented and passed to improve our lives in 23 and 24? Yes, I think Biden's approval ratings are actually going to go up quite a bit. Next year, I see his approval ratings going up. His approval ratings are going to go up. Whatever the rate is, I don't know, but they're going to go up. He's going to be one of those figures. I don't know the word they're using. I don't understand. It's they're using a lightning rod, but I don't think that makes sense. But what is that? A figure that can just sort of bring a cola. He can bring them together. That is his goal. That is his dream. His dream is to bring us back 20 or 30 years ago, where things were contentious, but certainly the Dems and the Rs got together more often than they do now. So I do think that he's going to do that. I think Americans are going to see that he's really a true leader. I really do. He's going to sort of become very beloved. Now, of course, you guys, there's always going to be that 20% nut job group of people, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, QAnons. Of course, there's always going to be those people. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about, say, 60 to 70% of America. That's a pretty good thing. So yeah, I think he's gonna really become way more respected in the face of all the evidence that's coming out against Trump and against these House members. I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath. That's what they just said. I'll go with that. And I don't think that's their words. I often say things in these videos that I hear in the news a week or two later. I actually hear them use the exact same words. Remember when they said stand in the breach? I heard it on the news. So when the guides say words like bloodbath, that's not very, ascended mastery kind of words, right? But this is a word that you're going to hear in the future regarding the attacks on the R's and the criminal impact of those attacks. Okay, let's move on. See, who are we? Jackie also says, will action be taken towards SCOTUS regarding investigations of Kavanaugh, Barrett, Gorsuch, Thomas, and Alito of Roe and Jan 6? Yes, we've talked about this a lot. You guys, these justices, I'm staring at Kavanaugh. So one of the things your guides can do is focus your eyes on something. You find yourself staring at something. I'm focusing on Kavanaugh right now. I've told you guys that Thomas is very sly, that he protected himself. Alito is coming under fire, but he does not care. I've also told you that. Some people are more susceptible to pressure than others. So when I'm looking at this list, I feel like Kavanaugh is more susceptible to pressure. Now that pressure could be, it doesn't have to be criminal. It doesn't have to be embarrassment. I mean, those are certainly areas that could be pressure, but it could also be, I'm going to cut your money. If you continue to stay there, you are going to, I don't know the word, your presence on the Supreme Court threatens me, because if they follow, you're connected to me, and I can't have that. I can't have them finding out who I am, dark money. Therefore, you've got to step down, because if you step down, they'll stop investigating me. And if you step down, I will give you, X amount of money. that will have you living in a posh way for the rest of your life. Now, so when I take that scenario or that equation, they're calling it, Kavanaugh's ripe for that kind of equation. He's ripe for taking the money and running. Alito basically gave them the finger. Thomas is going to be leaving for other reasons. I mean, not for other reasons, honestly, but the appearance will be for other reasons. There will be a story created to explain why he's leaving. Okay, in the past, when we were even more respectful, people would say, I'm stepping down to spend time with my family. I mean, everybody knows you're not stepping down to spend time with your family. You haven't seen your family, 3 weeks in the last year. We know that you're stepping down because your mistress came forward or whatever the answer is, right? So in these days, they don't even care, like the guys just said. But Thomas he will concoct a story that will allow him to step down. Barrett is not stable. She's not stable on the court. Her energy has never been stable from day one. The guides have said she's not going to be on the court for long. Timing is impossible. I am now channeling beings that are infinite, that have no time. So you're asking them to give time to humans? It's very difficult. I just know that her energy is not stable. When I look at Alito, he's stable. When I look at Vance, he's sent roots down into the earth and he's gripping deep down, right? When I look at Alito, he's standing firm. When I look at Barrett, she's like going to be blown over by a little wind. Do you understand how the energy can be different? When I look at Thomas, his energy it's sliding. He's on ice or something slick, but he's not slipping. It's not unseemly is the word, but he's sliding out of the picture. All the while standing there in his robe with his guy, like he's getting his portrait taken. He's standing there, but he's being moved out. So that's his energy. Gorsuch, I've never done this before. This is fascinating. Gorsuch, and I've not looked at Gorsuch's energy, and I've never said his name on these videos. Not once. Surprisingly to me, it just occurred to me yesterday that he's never come up in my energy. Kennedy has, Scalia, a lot of these people have come up in my energy, have come forward, but Gorsuch has not. So let's see what's going on. He's like got a cloak. He's trying to be invisible. He's not invisible to me. I mean, I'm going to get around the cloak. Y'all don't know. I'm like a dog with a bone. Like, he knows too much. Whoa, that just came out. He knows too much. He knows everything. He knows everything. What does he know? They're pointing to something. Whoa, this is kind of stuff that could get me in trouble. So I'm probably not going to tell you everything. He knows. Wow. What is that? They're pointing at me. And honestly, the thing that's doing the pointing looks like a black robed, like Grim Reaper thing. And it's pointing, and it has the big robe that hangs down and the finger, you know what I mean? You've seen it. It gives me chills. Okay. I'm looking for a crystal to hold. I need all the crystals. Here, let me try this one. Okay. It's not that he's, I mean, I want to say it's not that he's evil. I don't know what this energy is. It's really crazy energy. It's otherworldly. I mean, honestly, it's otherworldly energy. He's not, it's like he's got connections to some other energy. Yeah, I don't want to tell you all that stuff. Okay, so who is he pointing to? I think he's pointing to Mar-a-Lago, to be honest with you. It's like something And I'm again getting that energy that something is buried or concealed. Something is concealed. Everything is there. Oh, and then these lines, like, have you ever seen the map of the United States? And then if you see like a dot, 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 dot that goes out of the United States, right? Like so it's like a dot, 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 and then it like a little airplane, dot, 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 airplane, and it flies over here to another country. Why am I getting all this from Gorsuch? Oh, I'm not getting it from him. I'm getting it from his energy because why am I able to connect? I don't know. I don't know that I should be. Like, I don't connect like this with people. I don't go this deep into people's energy, truly, because it's not a good thing. It's not a good idea. Let me back out. I'm going to pull out of that energy. I'm going to seal that energetic wormhole I just went through by accident. I'm going to seal that up. I'm going to block that because I don't really need to know. Nobody needs to know that much. I would just ask my guides to come in again and separate me from that energy. And then I would say, is Gorsuch going, whoa, that was not a good picture. Yeah, I mean, y'all, he knows too much. Do you know what happens to people that know too much? That's all I want to say to you. He is involved in something and he's overreached. And so he might step down as well, or something else might happen. I don't know. But the energy is over there. So I'm like leaning away from the energy. Why do I do this stuff? Why? I always do this. I always kind of blunder into things without thinking about it first or asking my guides. I always tell you guys, get an intermediary. Don't I tell you guys, get an intermediary to go check the energy, not me. I'm the one in the crazy, scary movie that you scream at. Don't open the door. Don't open the door. She opened the door. She opened the door. That's me. That would be me. I would be dead if this was a movie. Okay. I'm going to let that go. I'm just going to let that go for now. I don't want nothing to do with that energy. No wonder he's never come up in my energy because my guides were like, don't talk to him. Woo. Okay. I'm just going to let that go. Wow. That was crazy. Okay. Now let's move on. She also says, will the Federalist Society ever be held accountable for their hold and influence over SCOTUS and SCOTUS rulings? The Federalist Society will never be held accountable. It's an entity. It's an organization. It's a secret organization. I don't know how we would hold them accountable anyway. They say no. What can happen is that with the light of day, with sunlight coming down and shining a light on everything, Americans will make some better choices. Americans will learn to make better choices, that we don't want to support a senator who would vote for a Federalist Society judge. So the Federalist Society will end up being a pariah. That's how we can hold them accountable, is we can make them a pariah. We can expose them for who they are and what they are and the control that they've had. And we can put in some laws. Right. And they're just showing me that the Democrats tried to pass some law that would govern the Supreme Court, because right now the Supreme Court gets to self-police themselves on ethical things. So they can meet with someone who has actually a case before the Supreme Court and have dinner with them. This is not allowed in any other court, but it's allowed in the Supreme Court. So the Dems have tried to pass laws and the Republicans have shot them down. So, I mean, it's all there for any thinking human being to see, right? And the media has not done its job in exposing this, and the media is in on this in some ways, right? So this is all the shock and awe you're going to be seeing next year. It's going to be quite messy. Okay, thank you for that, except for the Gorsuch part. Okay, so let's move on. Okay. Karen Ettinger says, okay, can I clarify exactly what must happen before the GOP Congress people who were involved in the coup are removed? i.e., does there need to be a jury trial or testimonies, emails, or tape recordings enough to prove culpability? Okay, that's your first question. Again, the guides have talked about this. I don't think that we have, and this is maddening. Look, 1-800-SPIRIT Guides, press 1 for complaints. It makes me insanely mad. But back to the spirit guides. They say, we're not really going to have enough evidence or enough. We do have enough evidence, but maybe there's not enough willpower. I don't know. But it's not going to happen. We're not going to, there's like 6 people in the House of Representatives, maybe roughly 5-6 people that have ties to Jan 6. We're not going to be able to lock all those people up. We're not, because just because you had a phone call or you said to the Proud Boys, hey, good job, that doesn't mean that you were involved enough to be thrown out for treason. I mean, we have to look at the law. If the law doesn't cover their actions, then there's nothing we can do. Okay? So that is why the guides said in the beginning of the video, some of these people will be pressured out. Some of them will be indicted and others will leave for other reasons. Maybe their money dries up. Maybe the money behind their campaign all of a sudden disappears. And they announce at the end of next year that they're not running in 24. Okay, so there's a lot of ways this can happen. We have to try to not be so black and white about it. We remember the patchwork quilt of R's and D's and maybe some purples. You know what I mean? It's going to happen, but I cannot tell you that it's going to be the justice that maybe you want and honestly that we deserve. I wish I could tell you that, but I don't see that. I just don't see that. We have to do the best we can do and then make the laws when we can. Okay. Also, can the governors appoint who they want to replace them? No, it has to be an election. We have to have an election. So that's an interesting thing. I mean, this adds to this like messiness that I see. Just this complete, like, if you just threw a bunch of things in the air and you didn't know where it was going to land. This is kind of the energy of 23. Everything is up in the air. We don't know how it's going to shake out. But I think that overall, we're going to gain. We're going to gain because the guides are saying right now, because the R's have been, okay, so I don't know about the sports analogy, but anyway, we don't have backups. We don't have the R's don't have backups. They've been putting all their money on this one person. So if there's a race, you're going to have some unknown person show up. It's going to be a lot harder for them. Whereas the Dems have been pushing and pushing and pushing our candidates, and our candidates lost by maybe 5% or 2%. So in many cases, we've got a candidate with a ton of name recognition that can come in and win because the R's are going to be infighting. Remember? So this is setting up quite nicely for us in most races. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you for your question, Laura. I'm going to call you Laura T because I cannot pronounce your name. Laura T says she's an admirer of Jamie Raskin, a congressman in the House from Maryland. I got a good feeling about him and what he tried to accomplish for the American people. Can you tell me what his future in our government will be going forward? I do like Jamie Raskin. I think that he was a fighter for justice. They're calling him a patriot, which we should try to re-own that name right now. When you hear patriot, you think MAGA. But truly the word patriot shouldn't be sullied in such a way. Yeah, he's good. I like his energy. He's they're telling me he's not going anywhere. He's strong. He's strong. He's supported. He's a force for good, and he's very outspoken. They're saying he communicates. He's outspoken. He stands up for what's right. He's not one of those people that just goes and votes and then goes to the golf course or whatever. He is a voice for reason. He's a voice for justice. He's very important. Yes. So he's fine. He could, like all of us, right? He could have a little health scare, but it's nothing big. And he continues on. He's a very strong, very passionate person. So thank you. Yes. And don't worry about, when I was just moving him down his timeline, I just saw a little health thing, but it's nothing. He goes right over it. It's like a speed bump for him. It's like a speed bump because he's a very strong person. Physically, he's very strong. Energetically, he's very strong. Okay. Thank you for your question. Jen J says, future of Adam Schiff for the next 24 months. He's fine. It seems like I don't know how to describe this other than if you think about a road, the main road, he's sort of outside of the main road, but also running parallel to the main road. So he might not be on the main road, but it doesn't matter because he's literally right outside of it, trucking along at speed with whoever's on the main road. Okay. So he might be relegated to an outside position, but he's not going away. He's staying right there with them, heading the same direction and at the same pace. So he does eventually get back on the main road. Hopefully that analogy metaphor makes sense to you. But he's good. He's good. He's staying current. They're telling me he's staying current. Okay. He's not going off to the side in the weeds or hanging a 90 and going somewhere, a 90-degree angle turn and going somewhere else. Okay. Thank you for your question. Fed Girl says, don't beat myself up for eating a lot of pie on Thanksgiving. No, never. I was proud of my medal. Okay. Question. MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, has been spouting about using the Holman rule against the DOJ when the Republican House members are in the majority in January 2023. It's the 1800s rule that resurfaced in 2017, where it was voted on and passed by Republican majority. MTG wants to use it to defund the DOJ to get rid of special counsel Jack Smith. Will she and other MAGA Republicans be successful? No, she's not going to be. She's going to say a lot of things. Basically, the guides are saying she has diarrhea of the mouth, which is not very nice, but that's what they said. I for once agree with them. She's not going to be successful. She will say the most outlandish attacks or things. She will attack. She's like a rabid, bad animal that is frothing at the mouth. That's her energy. And she'll bite whoever comes near her, but she doesn't have a pack of animals around her. To be honest with you, her supporting bad animals are kind of cowered by her, and they don't. There's just, it's like they're almost like shadows. They don't really have much power. So I don't think she's going to have any power. She's just going to be really irritating, but she's not going to have a lot of power. Which is good. That's good. I didn't know that that's why I like these questions, because if I don't ask, I don't get the answer, right? The guides don't tell me this stuff. They would rather me work on raising my own vibration. Okay. So let's see. And not that I'm not supposed to be doing this. It's just that they don't fill my head with this kind of stuff. Right. So, I'm happy to do it, and they're happy to help. And I've got, of course, Mr. Murrow helping me as well. Golly, Okay. Maybe that's why my nose is running, because he's here. Okay, because I have a little bit of allergic to cigarette smoke. So that makes sense. Okay. Libby Lou says, what do my guides see happening to the ICWA, which is the Indian Child Welfare Act? There are 2 law cases out there to basically dismantle this act due to discrimination. This would have a negative impact for natives and their families and their culture. It's just, they just know no bounds, right? Their evil just, it's like, it's bottomless, to be honest with you. It's like a bottomless pit of evil. The ICWA, I'm hearing it's protected, so I don't think it's going to dismantle it. They may. Who's going to win? They said who they're going to win. Well, I'm like, which one is going to win? Are the Native Americans going to win? It's complicated. They may lose something, but then they win something else, or they win on appeal. So there could be a loss followed by a win. So I think in the end they win, but it could be kind of complicated in between now and then. Also, if so these things are very complicated to explain. If they win, it could look like this. It could be a new act. It could be a new and better and more comprehensive law that gets passed. So I don't, if they strike against the ICWA, I don't see it being permanent. I see something bigger and better. It's almost like, okay, great. You want to take us on? Okay, great. We will redouble our efforts and get quadruple the support, and we'll create a better version. Thank you. That was antiquated anyway. We're going to make it better. So this is the energy behind it. Again, and it's the energy behind many things I'm telling you today. You might see a loss, but it's going to end up being a win. We have to sort of have a measured look. We have to have a longer view. This isn't over. None of this is over. It wasn't over when Trump became president. It wasn't over. It was hell. We got through it, and now we have Biden. We may have lost the House, but it's not over. We have to have faith. I think also this is a big test of us to have faith. If we lose our faith, what have we got left? Despondency, depression. That's not going to help any of us. You can't really achieve. You can't really manifest your best self if you lose your faith. So they're asking you to have faith here. Okay. Okay, thank you, Libby Lou. Sue F says, when the Republicans were involved in January 6th are indicted, will we have to wait for each of their trials to go over before we learn their congressional seats, before they leave their congressional seats? That's a really good question. Because that's a really good question. Will we have to wait for them to be indicted before they leave their seats? So yes, that's why the guides are saying we're not going to fix this problem with indictments alone. This patchwork quilt is going to be made by all kinds of factors that we're not aware of. We just don't know. For instance, that money being cut off, or a health scare, or an indictment that they get and they decide to step down. There will be others that will stay in office regardless of any indictment. But this will start to change because we're going to get our patchwork quilt in the House, and we're going to start having much more common sense, ethical votes. So Some will stay, but many will go. I feel like next year we could have 3 House members leave the House. Now, obviously 6 or 7 need to leave. So you may go into 24 where 1 or 2 more leave, and you may go into 24 where some are voted out. So this is going to kind of happen in all these various ways. It's not going to be one. There's no straight lines here. Again, remember, they threw all the things up in the air, and everything is going to rain down and fall into new places. Okay. That's really the energy for this whole next year, is one of shock and awe, in the sense that all these things are happening that you never saw coming, that just come out of nowhere. I know there's an astrological reason for that. I don't know if that's Pluto or Neptune. I don't know, but it's this tower energy of all of a sudden, one minute everything is fine. The next minute, these people are jumping out of a burning building, which is the tower card. I think I'm gonna do one more and then we'll go to part 2. Thank you for watching this far. If you've watched this far, gold stars, pies, chocolate, ice cream, whatever you want. It's on me. The calories are free. They're really not, but okay. Okay, Third Eye Design Studio Holistic Web Design says, in a book I read a few years ago, Psychic predicted our society would collapse and population would go way down. We would be living in family communities like a commune. Hello, this is happening. How many people did we lose during the pandemic? If you don't think that was a huge hit to our population. Also, we are not procreating like we used to. So there's lots of reasons why our population is going down. And your question is, we'll be living in family communities like a commune. Go back and look at my video where I channeled this entity called Ra, R-A. And they talked about how we were going to be living in bubbles. It really upset people. But the thing is that Mother Earth is going to kick us off of this earth. We are not going to be getting in spaceships. Sorry, Elon, maybe a few rich people will, but the majority of us will live in these ecosystem, in these bubbles where it's like a city. I mean, it's no different than a city, you guys, but it is contained. We will, yes, you're right. We will start living more in contained areas because a lot of natural disasters are going to start happening. So we'll be moving to, people will be moving from the coast. I mean, it's just natural. You don't need to be psychic to know this, right? So yes, we will be moving and we will be gathering more together in safer areas. And because those safer areas will be a specific shape and size, of course, there will be more people in that area, right? So that will increase the number of people living in that area, and we will have to increase living together. And it won't matter. I mean, it won't matter. I mean, that's just what they said, but it does matter to me. It always irritates me, but they say in 20 years, we're going to all be interacting via virtual reality. We're going to be visiting national parks through virtual reality. We're going to be having experiences through virtual reality. We're going to be, in other words, we're going to have a very rich life in some ways, living in a small house or living even in your bedroom. You're going to be able to escape that bedroom and visit anywhere in the world and almost feel like you're there. I know it's not the same for Susan. I mean, I'm not that person. I mean, I will be Grizzly Adams. I will go out and Mother Earth and I will just have to make a pact to live together. But I think the majority of people will not do that. I think the majority of people, look at our kids, folks. Look at the kids right now. What do? Spend all their time in their bedroom on video games. It's already happening. As these kids become 50-year-olds, what are they going to do? Stay in their room and do virtual reality. It's already happening in front of you. Less and less people are going less and less kids, not less and less people, but less and less children, less and less young adults are going out into the wilderness or going out fishing or going out, involved in nature. It costs money. It costs gear. It costs knowledge. We're losing those things, right? So this is kind of where we're going. I mean, it might sound upsetting to you, but to me, because I'm a nature fan, I am a huge eco person. I love trees. I love nature. But this will give Mother Earth a chance to fix herself. Think about the pandemic and how when people weren't going up and down the canals in Italy, all of a sudden the water cleared up. The water cleared up everywhere. It cleared up in Florida. It cleared up everywhere because humans weren't impacting the natural systems. So if humans get pushed away from Mother Nature and large swaths of the country can go back to its natural habitat, yeah, that might be sad for you. It's great for Mother Earth because Mother Earth is she can heal herself, and she will heal herself once she gets rid of us. So yes, this is the way we're going. Maybe that's 50 years from now. I don't know about the timing. Timing is impossible. But you can't deny climate change. You cannot deny these glaciers that are melting. You cannot deny that the sea level is rising. You cannot deny that our temperatures are rising. We have to find a way to deal with this. And Mother Nature's plan is to push us out of her way so that she can heal herself. So that is what I see. That's what the guides are talking about. And they made perfect sense to me once they described the kids in playing video games. I mean, I'm like, that all makes sense to me, right? It's not the end of the world. It's not a terrible thing. It's really not. Humans survive. Mother Earth survives. I think this is a win-win. Maybe it's not something that you can wrap your head around, but I'm pretty sure in 1850, they couldn't wrap their head around me talking to you on a video right now. Right? Times change, things change. So this is one of those changes that's going to be happening. Thank you so much for watching to this point. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Leave your comments down below. If you've watched this long and you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I do answer your political questions, generally speaking, once a week. I will have a part 2 to this. I will probably come out on Wednesday. I'm not sure. Keep your eyes peeled for it. Take really good care of yourself. Use the long view. Look at things. Take a long view. It's really not as bad as we think it is. We're going through some things. We're going through some changes. We're making our wishes known. We're having to shout a little louder than we maybe want to, but we are. We will affect changes. Everything is going to get better. Everything is going to get balanced out again. We just have to have faith and take really good care of ourselves so that we're around to see it. Take good care. Talk soon. For entertainment purposes only.